Hello, everyone. I see we're all putting where we're from. That's fantastic. Welcome to today's webinar. Before we get started, just a couple of the normal reminders. We will have time for questions at the end of the presentation, and you can type those in by clicking either that Q&A or the chat section in the lower portion of your control panel. Feel free to chat between yourselves as well throughout. We'll be posting a recording of the webinar on the blog. The link for that will be shown at the end. And if you would like a PDF copy of the presentation, there will be a link to download that on that same post as the recording. If your question does not get answered today, or if you think of any others, please email our support inbox, which will be shown at the end as well. All right, so what is on the agenda for today? Strengthening your immune system. We're headed into the cold and flu season, right? So no better time to start working on making yourself as strong as possible against the different illnesses and things that can come about this time of year, and really all year. We'll chat about what the immune system is and how it works, and then we'll go over action items that you can take today to help prepare your body to fight against these unwanted invaders. So, first, what is the immune system? The clinical definition that I pulled from the Cleveland Clinic is a large network of organs, white blood cells, proteins, and chemicals. These parts all work together to protect you from germs and different things. So, things like bacteria, viruses, infection causing different things, parasites, cancer cells, even, right? Your immune system also helps your body heal from infections and injuries. So that probably makes sense, right? But next question, how does it work? At a super high level, I'm not smart enough to know all of this, so we're going to keep super high level. When it's working properly, your immune system functions by looking at the cells in your body and differentiating which ones are yours and which ones are not supposed to be there. If it finds ones that don't belong, it activates itself and mobilizes its forces, if you will, to kill those germs. It also learns about germs that have been in your body and develops what are called antibodies against them. Those are just proteins that destroy specific germs. Again, they know, they remember them. They destroy them when they try to enter your body. So we have innate immunity and acquired immunity. Innate immunity is protection that you're born with. Your innate immune system is part of your body's kind of first line defense. It responds to those invaders right away by attacking any organism that shouldn't be in your body. It doesn't have prior training to tell the difference between cells that belong in your body and those that don't. The white blood cells involved in innate immunity, they don't learn to recognize those invaders like I was talking about and those germs, and they don't have that memory. So that's where our acquired immunity comes into play. Acquired immunity, also called adaptive or specific immunity, possible, right? We want our immune system to be in tip-top shape. There's so much that we can do to help build our immune system as much as we can. And many of these things are areas that you're already mindful and that we talk about all the time on these webinars. So let's dive right into what you can do. Now, I'm not going to get into each area too deep today because that would take way too long. We have lots of other webinars, like I mentioned, that go much more in depth. So be sure you're taking a look around on the blog if you want more information on any of these topics. So let's start with sleep. Sleep and the immune system affect each other both positively and negatively. If you get sick, sometimes you don't sleep very well, right? It can affect that sleep. At the same time, consistent sleep strengthens that immune system or hurts it if you're not getting enough quality sleep. Good quality sleep actually helps both that innate and acquired immunity that I just mentioned. One way it does this is that there are components that help the body's inflammation response to germs and illnesses that are increased when you sleep. And also when your body's circadian rhythm or that our internal clock is on track. So when we have good sleep habits, that our body's better able to respond to those germs and illnesses. Research also suggests that sleep improves your immune system's memory. So, again, recognizing those invaders when they come back again. So, sleep can help improve that ability. And it also helps vaccine effectiveness. So, if you sleep well after you get a vaccine, it actually can help as well. So, let's talk about a few ways to keep sleep on the top of your mind and improve it. If you watched other webinars, it's going to be a good review. So it's nothing new, right? That's the thing with a lot of health and wellness. There's things that change, but there's things that stay the same. Sleep, there's lots of good things that you can do that have always been proven to work. So first is stick to a schedule. If you go to bed and get up at the same time, your body's able to create that internal clock that I mentioned, that circadian rhythm. Now, I know shifting schedules and other factors make it so some of you can't do this. So if you can't go to bed at the same time every night, create a similar routine that you can do before bed that can help calm your body, calm your mind. Taking a bath, reading, meditation, anything that you can do that helps your body calm down to get ready for bed. And then your sleep environment. Lots of things here. Again, I'm just going to keep it very simple, but look into this if you have any thoughts on any of these. Temperature. Cooler the better, typically. 60 to 67-ish degrees Fahrenheit is typically what's recommended, which is freezing in my opinion, but that's the recommended temperature. Noise. If there's outside noises when you sleep, things like white noise machines or fans can help dampen those big noises that can wake you up. Or if you sleep during the day, if you work at night, earplugs can help with those noises as well. Think, snoring significant others or pets, different things like that, right? Light. Uh, Pitch black is best, but as little light as possible is the goal. Blackout curtains, eye masks can help with the light. Also, when we're talking different kind of light, try and stop using technology as far ahead of bedtime as possible, as those lights specifically can mess with our body's production of melatonin, a hormone that helps us sleep. And if you haven't gotten a new mattress or pillows in a while, take a look at that. I get those can be expensive, but good quality beds and pillows, when you think about how much time you spend in your bed, it's typically worth the investment, right? But yes, 60 to 67 degrees Fahrenheit. And there's different recommendations, but that's generally going to catch most of it. So yeah, cooler the better usually. All right, next way to help that immune system is to get moving. For exercise, specifically, there's a few specific ways it helps to build our immune system. First, exercise increases our blood flow. This makes sense, right? Most of us know this. Your heart beats faster when you're working out, which increases the amount of blood that pumps out each minute. That blood flow, though, also increases the circulation of your immune cells in your body, which again, it makes sense because they're all over our body. So if we can increase that circulation, we're going to increase the circulation of immune cells. So this helps your body prepare for and detect infections earlier if they're circulating more. So now this is a temporary effect, right? Because we're not exercising all the time. Our heart's not beating fast. But if you continue to be consistent with exercise and getting that heart rate up consistently, your body's going to continually have those cells circulate in your body just better overall. So it's going to continue to build that ability to fight those illnesses quicker. Exercise also reduces inflammation in our bodies. So inflammation, I've mentioned this once, it's a normal reaction to toxin. It's our body's reaction when something goes wrong is to send, places to the spot, and we get, heat and different things like that. But if we have a poor diet, high stress, or are inactive, that inflammation stays elevated and can lead to disease that hurts the immune system. So moderate exercise, again, nothing crazy, just consistent exercise can help reduce that inflammation that may be caused by other bad habits in our bodies, which again helps build that immune system. On the same note, I just said stress can cause inflammation. Exercise is a fantastic stress reliever. So exercise helps in a roundabout way by reducing stress, which can help prevent some serious concerns like depression. I'm going to touch on that a little bit more, but there's some studies out there that can link depression to negative effects with our immune system. So again, anything we can do to help our mental and brain health is going to be positive for that immune system as well. Question, should you exercise at night before bedtime? That's really a preference thing. Some people, it gets you more energized, right? And it's harder to sleep. Some people are able to exercise and go right to bed. I'm one of those people. I can exercise and then I'm still ready for bed, but it really depends. But exercise when you can, I think is the biggest thing. You know, don't get into the weeds too much, just move when you can. Rarely. And the majority of us are not going to hit that level of exercise, but I still want to point it out. And the point where it becomes negative depends on how in shape you are. But I'm talking probably 60 to 90 minutes, so an hour and a half or more of very intense working out, and then not resting for the appropriate time in between workouts, especially intense workouts, is where we can get ourselves into trouble with that, right? So if you're a competitive athlete, or if you're training for something like a marathon, be sure to give your body recovery time, eat a healthy diet, get adequate sleep, manage your stress to help negate possible effects, right? And again, 60 to 90 minutes of intense, I'm talking running, right? And getting that heart rate very elevated. That's where we're hitting it. So again, vast majority of you are not going to hit it, but I do want to point that out just because it is something to be mindful of. So, as far as recommendations for exercise, the general standards apply here. Again, just to get that consistency, 150 minutes per week of moderate intensity exercise. So, again, getting that heart rate up a bit, feeling a good workout, or you can do more intense workouts for a total of 75 minutes per week. Again, just be mindful to build up your intensity if you're just starting out so you don't have that opposite effect. We want to build up, don't just go all or nothing, because there's other issues too, right? If we get injure ourselves if we start too fast. So just be mindful of that exercise and move up as you can. All right, let's move on to nutrition. There is a ton you can do with your eating habits that help build your immune system. The nice thing is that the recommendations just for healthy nutrition overall are going to cover a lot of the specific nutrients that will help your immune system. So that's a win-win, right? So really eating your fruits and veggies, eating a balanced diet is going to help. But I'm going to take it a little bit further. I'm going to touch on a few specific things and a few specific nutrients that have been kind of shown to help your immune system. So iron is one. It's the enzymes that are it's excuse me, it's in the enzymes that are critical for immune function. So some of the main sources of iron include red meat, beans, nuts, and then there's fortified foods. Breakfast cereals is one that comes to mind. But so iron. Vitamin A. Vitamin A does a ton. Helps the skin because the skin is part of our immune system too, right? If we keep that healthy, it can help be a barrier for those toxins. It also helps tissues throughout the body stay healthy, including in the respiratory system, in the stomach, and in the intestines, which I'm going to talk about here for gut health. But it helps protect against infections in those areas. So there's two different sources of vitamin A as well. Preformed vitamin A, which comes from things like liver, dairy products, eggs, and provitamin A carotenoids that are turned into vitamin A by your body that comes from things like fruits and veggies, things like sweet potatoes, kale, carrots, spinach, mangoes, cantaloupe, bell peppers are just a couple that I have on my list. Either source is typically fine, but some people do have a harder time converting provitamin A into vitamin A. So just a good mix of both sources is a good idea. Again, balanced diet is always a good idea. Vitamin C. This is probably one of the most common that people think of when they think of nutrients that helps your immune system, right? Go get that vitamin C if you feel a cold coming on, and for good reason. Vitamin C stimulates the formation of antibodies and the production, function, and movement of white blood cells, which are both huge when we're talking about fighting infection against our body. Good sources of vitamin C, citrus fruits. Again, we hear oranges all the time, right? Grapefruit, strawberries, broccoli, cauliflower, and tomatoes. So there's some veggies in there too. So again, I'm not giving you an exhaustive list of any of these vitamins. So do some research and find something that you like that you can get consistently in your diet. Vitamin D, that helps our immune system because it helps regulate specific proteins that can kill pathogens. So which is just the fancy name for a virus that causes a disease. Good sources of vitamin D include fatty fish like salmon and tuna, egg yolks, and our fortified dairy or orange juice. We don't eat sunlight, of course, but our body produces it when we're exposed. So be sure you're getting outside as well. Don't forget about that. Vitamin E. This works like an antioxidant, something that helps protect our cells from things that can cause disease. So, good sources of vitamin E include seeds, nuts, peanut butter, those types of things. Skipping to the end of the alphabet, we started with A. Let's end with Z, zinc. This is another fairly well-known nutrient that helps our immune system. I think a lot of people take supplements for this sometimes. It supports that immune response in general. So meats, shellfish, milk, seeds, and nuts are some sources for zinc to look out for. Hydration is the next tip. There are a million reasons to drink more water, and the benefits to your immune system is just one of those reasons. So, being hydrated helps our body flush out toxins, helps in overall transportation of nutrients to our body, those things that you're eating, it helps get them to where it needs to be. And then it helps digestion overall. Again, I said I was going to touch on this, and I'll touch on it in a second, but our gut health is directly linked to our immune system. So just look to increase your water intake wherever you can. Side note, if you can, look to replace some of that alcohol that you may drink with water as well. Alcohol specifically can affect our immune system negatively through many different ways. So again, just be mindful of that. Not saying you can't have it, just be mindful of how much, because it does take away and it does negatively affect our immune system. So, someone just asked this actually, and I will get to it here, but supplements. So, that's coming on this slide. But first, I want to touch on that gut health, like I talked about. A huge portion of your immune system is in your GI or gastrointestinal tract. About 70% actually is in that GI tract. So, we've done a few webinars in the past years about this and how it affects our overall health. It's very interesting. I recommend doing some research for yourself. It's actually amazing how much you can be affected by your gut health. But anyways, a couple things to improve your gut health that can help your immune system are eating prebiotic and probiotic foods. So, prebiotic foods feed the good bacteria that we have in our gut. Probiotic foods contain the actual good bacteria for your gut. So, prebiotic feeds it, probiotic contains those. So, they work together. So, some examples of prebiotic foods: garlic, onions, asparagus, bananas as green as you can handle. I know, but do what you can. Oats, barley, apples, flaxseed. Again, not a comprehensive list, just some more of the common options, but do some research. Probiotics are going to be in fermented foods mainly. So yogurt, kefir, kombucha, kimchi, sauerkraut, cottage cheese specifically that has live cultures in it. Same with the yogurt. So look to get some of these foods in your diet to help with that gut health as well. Again, I think we kind of underestimate how important gut health is because it's really complex, but eat things that help your gut health and you'll be in good spot, especially with the immune system. The other thing, so we talked about what to include more of, right? Now let's talk about something to limit and maybe get rid of added sugars. So again, if you've heard us on webinars, you know there's many reasons to limit added sugars in our diet in general, but a really important one, it has to do with that immune system. So one, added sugars can lead to becoming overweight. Being overweight is a very high predictor of lower immune system functions. Also, sugar can cause inflammation in our bodies, which we've talked about. It's linked to many diseases and conditions that can weaken our immune system. So, again, just be mindful. Look to swap some of those added sugars with fruits and veggies because fruits have sugars in them too, right? But those are your body knows what to do with that. So if you can swap that, take one step and just look to lower your overall sugar is fantastic. So again, someone asked this question. Usually when I start the conversation about nutrients, it goes the direction of, these are fantastic. Can I just take a supplement to get all the good stuff in? So a couple thoughts on that. Overall, the general recommendation is to try and get your vitamins and minerals from whole foods if you can. Your body can typically utilize them better, and you can get the other benefits that typically come with those foods because you're going to usually have healthier foods if you're getting these nutrients, right? And they can help with other things, fiber, different things like that, right? So again, that's the goal. Now I get it. Is if you don't like foods or there's allergies and different things like that, supplements can fill in the gaps of nutrition. So there's 100% a place for them. So if you decide you want to start taking supplements, just a couple things to keep in mind. They're not regulated the same way as other medications are. So even if supplements claim to have specific nutrients or things in them, it might not be true. So the good companies will put their own supplements through studies from third parties to help prove their claims. So National Institutes of Health PubMed database does studies. Brands that have the NSF International, US Pharmacopoeia, Underwriters Laboratory, or Consumer Lab seals typically mean that they verified that the project product actually contains what it says. So again, that's a big thing. So do some research on that. Find those areas that, or find those places that do that third party, and then look for those seals on those supplements. And then obviously always talk to your doctor. Supplements can react with other medications. We don't know what you're taking. Always talk to your doctor about these potential interactions before you start any type of supplement. All right, let's talk stress. I mentioned a couple times now that too much stress can have an effect on our immune system. So let's dive a little bit deeper. We know we can't get rid of all of our stress and stressors, right? It's just not going to happen. The issue of stress when it comes to our immune system is that chronic stress or that elevated stress response that sticks with us. So what happens? In short spurts with stress, cortisol, which you've probably heard of, the stress hormone, that's released when our body's stressed, right? What it does, it's actually meant to be good in short term. It can limit inflammation that can hurt our immune response. But what happens is over time, your body gets used to having more cortisol in your blood, and then your tolerance goes up, if you will, so that inflammation will start to creep up again. So it's not doing what it's supposed to do with that cortisol. Stress, unfortunately, also decreases the body's lymphocytes, which we talked about. Those are the white blood cells that help fight off infection. So the lower those cells go, the higher the risk of things like illnesses that pop up. So not dealing with your stress can lead to all sorts of other health issues. So let's talk about some stress management. Again, lots of other webinars on this. I'm not going to spend a lot of time, especially because we're almost out of time here. But first, we have just breathing. It can be as simple as slow, calming breaths, or there's different techniques that you can do. 4-7-8 breathing, where you inhale for 4, you hold your breath for 7. This is just counting slow counts, and then you exhale for a count of 8. And then we have box breathing, which is essentially the same thing, except it's just 4 counts instead of the 4-7-8. So different techniques based on preferences. They're both very good if you practice them. They might feel a little uncomfortable right away, or again, just start with slow, calming breaths. So what breathing does is it forces your body to slow down, right? And then it focuses your mind on counting, and it can kind of get away from those stressors. It can kind of collect your thoughts and focus on one thing versus all those scattered, stressful thoughts. Meditation can go along with breathing too, but it doesn't have to. Lots of meditations out there just focus on different topics, or they just have music where you just breathe to whatever you want to do. Positive self-talk and reframing, it's easy to focus on the negatives of a situation, but it's not going to change it, right? So try to start thinking of the positives throughout your day. Again, not easy, but every day has a positive somewhere. We just have to look for it sometimes. It's all about finding that perspective, working towards gratefulness to turn that stress response volume down a little bit. So we reframe those thoughts. Journaling, get your thoughts out on things, or you can do a gratitude journal to just put the positives of your day. Really, you can use it however it works for you. Some people love journaling just to get things out, And again, if you're looking to reframe your thoughts, doing a gratitude journal and writing down the things you're grateful for is huge as well. So really, and I've talked about this in the past, stress toolbox is really helpful. So just have a list, doesn't have to be an actual list, but think about some things that calm you down and then have them incorporated into your life or have them ready to go in times of stress. You should do it without stress, do it in times of not stress as well, but things like regular exercise, again, eating well, meditations, music, journaling, have a go-to list of people to talk to, have your pets around to pet them, can have you ready in case stress comes up. And then again, use those even when you're not stressed. If we can get in the habit of doing things that calm us down, our body's better able to deal with stress that's going to pop up sometimes when we least expect it. And then just to finish up today, just a kind of couple other random ones here. Healthy habits, what you're doing help prevent illnesses, but don't forget about the simple things either. Washing your hands, right? We were taught this since as long as we can remember, but it's so important just to think about those things. Wash your hands frequently, especially this time of year. And then one other one, just know the risks of smoking. It can dramatically lower our immune system's ability to function. So again, it's not an easy thing to quit, but another motivator if you are looking for another reason to quit. All right, let's wrap it up here. Again, healthy habits can go so far when it comes to help your body fighting illnesses. So pick a couple areas. We talked about a lot of different things. So pick one or two things that you feel like you can improve on better every day, perfection or progress over perfection, right? And then, of course, don't forget to wash your hands. All right, before I go through and see if there's any questions that I missed here, upcoming webinars. Let's see. Whoops, I forgot to change the dates here. So actually, Beat the Winter Blues is in December because we are in November, which I cannot believe. So December will be the Beat the Winter Blues. We'll talk about mental health, brain health, so much to talk about there. And then in January, we are going to talk about goal setting, which kind of, it's pretty cliche for January, but we're going to have a little bit different of a view on it. We're going to talk about the why. So you can set goals all you want, but knowing the why of those goals is really the true motivating factor. And that's what can help keep you sticking with your goals long after the New Year's resolutions fade. If you get points for watching the webinars and they request that you answer questions, these are the questions that you can answer. Again, not everyone has this, but if you do, these are the questions. This will be on the slide deck when you download the slide deck as well. So I'll give you a second here to screenshot. Otherwise, you can download that once we get the link up on the blog, which will be done in the next day or so, hopefully 48 hours. And then, of course, our contact information. We are on Facebook and Instagram. You can watch past webinars, register for upcoming webinars, and download the blog, or excuse me, not download the blog, download the slides on the blog there. So healthcheck360.com forward slash blog. So again, if you want to watch this again, if you want to discover any of our other webinars, please look on there. And then if you do want to chat with a health coach, we would love to chat with you. You can call or you can email, and we are more than happy to either set up a call or we can chat via email as well. So please, please reach out. All right, there's lifestyle rewards. I believe someone wanted that. Yes. So let's see. No charge for a health coach. Everyone has it available, has inbound coaching available. There are different programs that some companies offer. So you can give us a call and see what you have available to you, or it should be in your, if you have a wellness program guide, should be available, should be list what kind of coaching we have available. But general health coaching questions, anyone can call and chat with us. Let me go back to those supplements. So, um, the NSF International is one of them. That's the one I feel like I see the most for the brands, for the third party testing for the supplements. US Pharmacopoeia is another one. Underwriters Laboratory or Consumer Lab. Now again, I think things change a lot too. So There might be other ones out there, but those are ones to start with. And again, you can always chat with doctor and see if they have recommendations. I'm not, I'm not going to share brand names, but again, if you go into any local pharmacy and stuff, you'll be able to see right on there. They've got those labs, or again, do some research online, and you can get that done. Oh, thank you. Someone shared a big list of that. Thank you, Karen. Beautiful. All right, it is 1 minute past, so I don't think, sorry if I missed a question, but please, 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 please email. Let me go back to the thing here. You can email if you have other questions, or again, give us a call. Otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful November and hope to see you next month. Thanks, everybody. Take care.